Hi, Dino with today's thought, and today we're going to the Middle East again. And well, I should mention that I've noticed that the main interest of all of you who follow me is, well, it's understandable. We're all Americans, right? The United States and domestic politics and sometimes overseas events that directly affect the United States. But I've noticed, well, let's say the Middle East, when I go to the Middle East, Israel mainly, that I don't get as many viewers, and I understand that, but my purpose in this vlog, well, obviously I want to talk about things that are of interest to me, but also things that I think you need to know about. But I understand, and if it's not your subject, we're going to the Middle East today, and I hope you find it interesting. But if not, I understand, but we'll get back to domestic politics well, hopefully in the next vlog. We'll see what happens. But what I want to talk about today is, well, first of all, I'm going to show you a video that I showed some time ago. So if you've been following me, you've already seen this video. I don't know how, it could be over a year old by now, but it has to do with what we're talking about today. So just take a look. It's very short.
I am a.
You want me to say what? I'm a white colonizer.
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 We are white colonizers.
I am a white colonizer.
I am a white colonizer.
I'm a white colonizer.
I am a white colonizer.
I am a white.
A white colonizer.
I'm a white colonizer.
Colonizer.
Colonialist, no?
I'm a white colonizer.
I am a white colonizer.
We are a white colonizers.
So what we're doing today, and that's why I showed this video, we're going to do a little bit of myth busting, or let's say narrative busting, because there is, well, we should all want peace in the Middle East, right? And good relations with Israel. Well, maybe not good relations with Israel to a lot of our friends on the left who want the destruction of Israel. They don't want, never mind good relations or bad relations, they don't want it to exist at all. And one of the things that they say is, which is relevant to the video that I just showed you, is that, well, they'll say, go back to Poland, characterizing Jews as white colonizers, as if of all the places in the Middle East that they're going to colonize anything, they wouldn't have picked some Africa, part of Africa, well, such as the Belgians did and the Dutch did. And well, actually, that's one of the narratives, that they liken Jews to Belgians. They liken Jews coming back to or migrating to Israel as the same as Belgians, colonizing the Congo. And it's not the same thing at all, because Belgians are not native to the Congo, obviously, but Jews are. We come from the Middle East, and there is people like me. I'm what's called an Ashkenazi Jew. There are Mizrahi Jews and Sephardic Jews. Mizrahi Jews are Jews who are always there. Now, the Romans in the 1st century AD, they exiled a lot of us. They got tired of the revolts, right? We revolted at least twice against the Roman yoke, and the second time they'd had enough, they exiled us. But they exiled about 80% of us, but not all of us. Okay, so we have been there continuously, as I'm going to demonstrate, for 3,500 years. Arabs did not come to that area until, well, it's in your history books, the Arab conquests of 637, the year 637. I'm going to be talking about that too, but mainly I'm going to show you a video of a Lebanese academic, that's how he's described, a Lebanese academic, talking about, well, I'll let you speak for himself. And you know what? I'll do it right now. I just want to give a little credit to, you'll see the little slide starting, or the introduction to the video where you're going to see. It's about a 5-minute video, but very, very interesting. But MEMRI, MEMRI, which is the Middle East Media Research Institute, and all they do is they just monitor Arab media and, in the Arab world, Arabia and the whole Middle East. They also cover Iran, but all they do is just take the videos as they are and just translate just to supply English subtitles so we can know what they're saying, which is especially useful when you see the which relates to what we're talking about today, actually, because you have the Palestinians talking about, and everybody else talking about a two-state solution, and when they talk about it, the Arabs, they say one thing to us, to the Western world, and they say another thing to their own people, to their fellow Arabs, especially the Palestinians. They say one thing to Joe Biden, the gullible people on the left, and then they show, but they speak differently. Mahmoud Abbas, he speaks to his subjects, we'll call him, because he's a dictator, and they're being oppressed by Mahmoud Abbas, not by the Israelis. And the Mahmoud Abbas, 98% of Palestinians are governed by by Palestinian Authority, by Palestinians, okay? But they say another thing to their own people. They say, we want peace to us, and they say, we're going to conquer all of Israel, and we'll be, Palestine will be free from the river of the sea. You've heard that nonsense a million times. And so that's all they do, is they just translate, and that's what I'm going to show you now. This is a Lebanese an academic, speaking, being interviewed, and talking about I was going to say, Palestinians' so-called right to all the land between the Mediterranean and the Jordan, because that's what they want. So, without further ado, just watch, and then I'll have my comments after.
ما بتسمع هلا بيحطوا لنا تصوير فيديوهات مصورة. طولوا بالكم لتخلص الحرب، جايين ليكون. هيدا شريكي في الوطن، لبناني ومعه الجنسية اللبنانية. عم بيقول لي أنا هلا مش فاضي لك، أصل لك راسك، بس طول بالك شو رح أعمل فيك، بس لأخلص مع إسرائيل. إيه، هيدا شريكي في الوطن. شو بدك قل له؟ يا محلى الكحل بعينك، شو بدك قل له؟ بدي أنا أحمي حالي وأخذ احتياطاتي حتى ما يوصل لي يقطع لي راسي. ما عم بيهددني علانة وصراحة.
يعني اللي عم بتحاول تقوله إنه ما ترك مجال للتضامن يعني؟ لا،
ما في مجال للتضامن، لأنه شبعونا اضطهاد، شبعونا حمل صليبك وارحل.
مين قال هيدا؟ وين قالوها؟
وصلت لنا على تليفوناتنا صورة مكتوب عليها احمل صليبك وارحل. والمش عاجبه البلد الله معه، مسؤولين حزب الله ما قالوا لنا اياها بالفم الملقان، مش عاجبك الله معك، مش عاجبه يفل، قالوها ولا لا؟ نعيم قاسم قالها ولا قالها؟ دبويات الصواريخ والذخيرة اللي زرعتها تحت كل بيت لبناني بكل ضيعة لبنانية. عرضنا للقصف الإسرائيلي، والبيت اللي بينضرب وفي الذخيرة لشي بتقضى فيه، كل الصواريخ اللي عم بتطير من هذا البيت اللي حولوه لديبو، شو في بنيات وبيوت حواليه احترقت وتدمرت. هذا ما عيشنا فيه حزب الله من 82 تحت ستار بدهم يحرروا شو؟ القدس. اللي عم بيقولوا انه بدنا ندعم القضية الفلسطينية. بدنا نسأل سؤال باراليل، هل يحق للفلسطينيين اصلا بفلسطين؟
ليه؟ كيف هالحكي؟
الحكي؟ طيب الجواب كلا.
شو هالحكي يا استاذ عماد؟
انت بتحب كلام علمي موضوعي وبعطيك؟
لا تفضل، بس انه ما بحق للفلسطينيين
ما بحق.
بفلسطين.
رح اعطيك اجوبتي مش تحليل سياسي، رح اعطيك من مراجع مقدسه. بكتاب القرآن الكريم لم يتم ذكر كلمة واحدة تقول فلسطين، ولا يتم ذكر الفلسطينيين بالكتاب القرآن الكريم. اما بذات الكتاب بيتم ذكر الإسرائيليين 43 مرة، وبيتم ذكر اليهود 9 مرات. 43 مرة في كلمة إسرائيل، ما في ولا مرة كلمة فلسطين. بلش من هون. لو فلسطين موجودة كان حكي عنها كتاب القرآن الكريم. لك هالكلام هون إنه الله في القرآن أعطى اليهود هذه الأرض. يا قوم ادخلوا الأرض المقدسة التي كتب الله لكم. الله كتب هاي الأرض المقدسة لإلهم، هيدي بالقرآن الكريم. سورة المائدة الآية 20. اليهود في إسرائيل 2000 سنة قبل الوجود المسيحي و2600 سنة قبل الفتوحات الإسلامية. كيف بتكون أرض مش يهودية؟
بس لا
خليني نكفي لك لو سمحت،
لأنه رح يدهمنا الوقت. أنا ما بدي نضيع عندي كثير أسئلة.
ليك شو قال الكتاب المقدس؟ ما بهمك الكتاب المقدس؟
أنا لا، ما تفوتني بالماورائيات.
طيب.
أنا بالعكس
ماورائيات. فذهب أبرام كما قال له الرب ومعه لوط وخرجوا ليذهبوا إلى أرض كنعان، مش إلى أرض فلسطين. منيح. الكتاب المقدس بيقول كان في كنعانيين لما إجوا اليهود، ما كان في فلسطينيين.
أنا أستاذ عماد
هيدا بس لأقول لك يا أستاذي الكريم، ما حرام بدك تبني بلد ولا بتبني تفنيصة؟ كيف ترجعوا بتركبوا أسطورة إنه بدنا نكب إسرائيل بالبحر وإسرائيل محتلة وهي الأرض مش إلها؟ يعني بدك تبني مستقبل جديد لأولادي وأولادك على الحرب، على الحقد، على الكره، ولا على قبول الآخر؟ أنا بدي وجه تحية للطائفة السنية في العالم، ليه من بعد كانوا عملوا تجربة فيها تهور إنه بدنا نكب إسرائيل بالبحر، واجتمعت كل الدول العربية. شو طلعت النتيجة بالآخر؟ ما كبوا إسرائيل بالبحر. وهلأ شو عملوا؟ مصر أمة 100 مليون مسلم عربي اعترفت بإسرائيل وعملت صلح معها. الهاشميين في الأردن اعترفوا بإسرائيل، عملوا صلح معها. فإذا هذا النضج الإسلامي السني لك وين وصل؟ إنه يكون عندك الإمارات المتحدة العربية أعظم، يعني أكثر دولة حضارية بالعالم اليوم.
اعترفوا كلهم بإسرائيل. أنا عفوا مضطر لحتى بدي
بس لكفي لك. هلأ عنا المراهقة الشيعية خربتنا، لنشوف بكرة إذا بيتعظوا مثل ما اتعظ الفريق.
So just to put a point on what that academic that you just, and I keep saying academic because I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but you saw it enough times. But that's, and by the way, he's a Christian, if you didn't notice that, or note that. He's obviously a Christian Lebanese. They have a problem too. They have a problem in Lebanon for being, discriminated against by, or at least not tolerate. There was in 1975, starting in 1975 until 1980, till about, or 1970, and there was a civil war actually in Lebanon between the Muslims and the Christians, and they finally settled it where you have to, I forget the exact distribution, but it's called the Taif Agreement, and the governing of Lebanon is divided between Christians and Shiite Muslims and Sunni Muslims. I forget who has which position, but the prime minister must always be one. I think the president must always be a Christian, and then there's the speaker of the parliament or whatever. He must be either, I don't know how which one goes to the Sunni, which one goes to the Shiite. Not relevant for today, but so throw that in there. So he, I find that interesting too, so I just threw that in there. But anyways, as he said, there is, well, I'll give the example. Well, first of all, let me give you these numbers first, which is that, as he said, the Hebrew Bible mentions Jerusalem and the Jews, Jews obviously, but Jerusalem. Did you know that Jerusalem is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible 669 times? Now, here's a little pop quiz for y'all. How many times is Jerusalem mentioned in the Muslim Quran? Give me a second. Tick, 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 tick. Time's up. 0. It's not mentioned at all. So that's one little clue for you all. The second clue for you all is that, well, I'm not going to quote, I'm linking in the description, if you want to link to it, to Resolution 242, United Nations Resolution 242, the complete text. You don't have to read it. It's searchable, so you can search it and look for. This is the resolution, the UN resolution that ended the 1967 so-called Six-Day War between Israel and several the surrounding Arab states they tried to invade. They didn't get too far, and Israel actually ended up conquering all of them. And I'll throw in a little aside here: how much better would the world, the Middle East, or more peaceful would have been if the Israelis had not been pressured, as they always are, by the United States and Western policy to stop just when they're winning, and they could have dictated the terms of a surrender, and we wouldn't be having the problems that we're having today. Just throw that in there also. But you can search, read the whole thing word for word, but just search Resolution 242. You will not find one mention. You will not find the word Palestine or the word Palestinians anywhere in that resolution as recently as 1967. So what happened was that I'm old enough, as you can tell me by looking at me, I was old enough to remember the 67 war. I mean, I wasn't in Israel, but I mean, as it was reported here, actually I was in Israel though in 1968. My parents, we went on a tour, 1968, 1 year after the 67 war. Haven't been back since, eager to go again. But what happened was, during that war, all the rhetoric that you heard from the Arabs was, we're going to throw the Jews into the sea. That was it. Jews into the sea, going to throw the Jews into the sea, kill all the Jews. That was what it was all about. There was no mention of Palestine will be free from the river to the sea, because there was never a country called Palestine. That was the name. It comes from Philistina, which is Philistine, which it was. The Philistines were the Israel. Well, not Israel. The Jews. The Jews. Mortal enemy. So when the Romans conquered that area, they renamed the whole area. They renamed it Palestine, Palestina was the name they used. The Roman name, Palestine, to humiliate the Jews. But it was an administrative area, a conquered area of the Roman Empire. It was not an independent country. There have been only 3 independent countries between the river, the Jordan and the Mediterranean, and 3 of them were Jewish. And there's never been a non-Jewish state. There was first it was all Judea. Then there was an argument of who should be the next king of Judea. So it was a friendly split, but it split into 2 kingdoms, Israel in the north and Judah in the south. And then we have modern Israel, the sovereignty reestablished in 1948. That's the 3rd Jewish state between the Jordan and the Mediterranean. There has never been a non-Jewish one. Okay, that's number 1. But the idea was throw the Jews into the sea, and they didn't. They got absolutely. I remember everybody was celebrating, praising Israel. 3 days, 6 days, conquered all these countries that attacked them. All the sympathy was with Israel. So what happened was about 1973, the Arabs, and there's a 1977 quote, if you want to dig it up, from an actual Palestinian saying, well, we're not Palestinians, we're Egyptians and we're Syrians. And we're just saying that because we want to characterize ourselves as a liberation movement to curry favor with the left and get support from liberals and the left. So we're going to call them now the Israelis are oppressors, and we just want to be free, yada yada. You've heard it a million times. That was a narrative created, in collusion with the French, who don't like Israel a whole lot. There was, I'm going to use a bad word here, forgive me, harmful language coming, whatever, but there was a French foreign minister who described Israel as that shitty little country. That's how they feel about Israel, I'm sure, to this day. So they, working with these Arabs, they came, and I'll throw this in here, Yasser Arafat, the leader, the former president of the Palestinian Authority. Oh, he must be a Palestinian, right? No. Egyptian, born in Cairo, okay? Yasser Arafat, Egyptian, born in Cairo. More relevant, the Palestine, the organization he led, the Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO, was formed in 1964. The 67 war was obviously in 67. That's when Israel conquered, retook all of Jerusalem, that the Romans had thrown them out of, and the surrounding areas, right all the way up to the Jordan. So that was in 1967. So what were they trying to liberate? Why they wanted to destroy Israel? There was no Palestine liberation, or they never, up until the 67 war, Jordan, the 48 war, that was the armistice line. It's not a border. Some people call it the 67 border. It's an armistice line. That's where the fighting ended in 1949. That's when the agreement was agreed to, and so there was never, this is what's important, there was never a call from, it was an Arab, half of Jerusalem and all the land east of that was the Jordanians had that. They controlled the area, and the Egyptians controlled Gaza. Okay, so why was there no calls to establish a Palestinian, so-called Palestinian state when those areas were in Arab hands? Only after Israel conquered the area. See, this is a whole narrative that came up in 1973, I believe the exact year, but definitely after 1967, because I just referred you to, and I linked to it, UN resolution 242, no mention of Palestine. Now, the last thing I want to show you now is I just want to share an article with you. Now, remember what I said before, and you can look this up, the Muslim Arab, well, they called it the Muslim conquest. They were Arabs, and the Arabs, throw in a little fact, we're throwing in historical facts here. When Salah al-Din, when he, remember the Crusaders had Jerusalem for a while, and Salah al-Din conquered Jerusalem and evicted the Christians. He wasn't an Arab. He was a Kurd, actually. He was a Kurd. It's a little historical fact for you. You can see I'm just a fount of knowledge on Middle East stuff, or certain parts of it anyways. But the point is that I want to share an article with you. That's what I was getting to. Oh, yeah, so that's what I wanted you to remember, that the Muslim conquest, or the Arab, I guess called the Arab conquest of Jerusalem, was 637. So now I'm going to look at this article. Most ancient Hebrew biblical inscription deciphered. Professor Gershon Galil of the Department of Biblical Studies of the University of Haifa has deciphered an inscription dating from the 10th century BCE, that's before Common Era, same thing as BC, essentially, the period of King David's reign, and has shown that this is a Hebrew inscription. The discovery makes this the earliest known Hebrew writing. The inscription itself was written in ink on a 15 centimeter by 16 centimeter trapezoid pottery shard, and was dated back to the 10th century BC, which was the period of King David's reign. Professor Galil's deciphering of the ancient writing testifies to its being Hebrew, based on the use of verbs particular to the Hebrew language and content specific to Hebrew culture and not adopted by any other cultures in the region. This text is a social statement relating to slaves, widows, and orphans. It uses verbs that were characteristics of Hebrew, such as asa, did, and avad, worked, which both those words are still in modern Hebrew, by the way, which were rarely used in other regional languages. Particular words that appear in the text, such as almanah, widow, are specific to Hebrew and are written differently in other local languages. The content itself was also unfamiliar to all the cultures in the region beside the Hebrew society. And I'll just throw in a little fact there. You can't really read that inscription very well. There's that illustration that was with the title of the article. So that's what they call Paleo Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, okay? Just like we have Old English and then we have Modern English. So that's Old Hebrew. That's the ancient language. Modern Hebrew, if you're familiar with Hebrew, it's written differently. But there you go. And again, this dates back to the 10th century BCE. 10th century BCE. 10th century BC. Arabs came to the area in the year 637 AD. So there you go. Make I was going to say make of that what you will. There's nothing to make of it. Those are the facts. You can look them up. I link to the articles. You can do your own research. But thanks for stopping by. That's it for today. Well, if you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, comments always welcome in the comment section below the video. Most of all, come back and see me again. Love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.